Hello, welcome to the Metropolitan Elites. We are elitist and we live in an ivory tower. And in that ivory tower also live lizards. And the lizards phone us up every week. They're left-wing lizards, by the way. And they tell us what to say from the Illuminati, who are telling us what to say, because we're lefties, and lefties are very pro-establishment, as you know. So, what did they ring us about this week?
Some geezer with blonde hair, outrageous views, seems to have a very popular appeal. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. He's a comedy character, isn't he, basically?
Yeah.
He's a reality TV star. He's also a businessman. And I know he was on Celebrity Apprentice.
He's the host of...
He hosted it, right. Yeah. So he is like...
Alan Sugar.
Alan Sugar. There is a bit of a parallel there in that Alan Sugar isn't a brilliant businessman, and is a failed businessman, actually. And Donald Trump, if you actually look at his history, he is a failed businessman. But he's a failed businessman that kept all the money. His business has failed, but he kept all the money. So does that make him? I don't know.
Yeah.
And obviously now he's a reality TV star. But I didn't know that. I knew who Donald Trump was. He was an American businessman with a deliberately ridiculous hairdo.
Yeah.
And I don't watch reality TV or anything like that at all. I mean, we don't even watch soaps in our house. We don't watch anything like that. So this is an interesting thing I've discovered this week about him. He's not self-made. I would imagine he wants to give that impression, but he inherited his parents' business actually, and kind of made some money and then failed and then whatever. And he's the kind of person basically he says, "I want that," and he has it. To say that's what he's doing now is possibly not true. It's not quite clear. This is the thing, is it? What is he doing?
What is he doing? He's creaming it in the Republican nomination for the presidential candidacy, which is interesting because there is a very established family name in the presidential race, which was widely expected to mop up, and Donald Trump is absolutely battering it.
Yeah.
Despite what he says, or in spite of what he says.
Yeah.
Obviously, has some very controversial views.
Hence media explosion.
Hence media explosion.
He's a reality TV star. Hence media explosion.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. That's why, isn't it? It's because if he's on the telly more, he'll get more votes. That's what it boils down to, isn't it?
Yeah.
I was looking at his policies. I'm not sure his policies matter, actually, because I'm not even convinced it's a real thing. But yeah, and they're not that extreme. Some of them. There's some ridiculous things he said, but generally, they're actually relatively normal Republican policies. The actual policies. He's pro-guns, but he supports the bans on assault weapons and likes people to have waiting times and all that. So he's not a nutter. He's pro-small government and all that. So he wants lower taxes, etc. He's against this Common Core education thing, which I think they have in America, which is basically the national curriculum we have here. He's against that. He doesn't want a national curriculum. He wants what we would call academies, where the school is free to teach
whatever it wants.
Fish farming, or I don't know. I've got a problem with that, and I worry about his reasoning behind that. But that'd be another discussion, really. He's anti-global warming. Lol. He wants to bomb ISIS. I'm not saying that's a good or a bad decision because I don't know what the hell we're going to do. So at least he knows he's got some idea. But does mean that essentially his views are one-dimensional views there, and he's aiming for those people who have a simplistic view of the world and see things as obvious. He's anti the American NHS thing, the Obamacare. He wants to get rid of that. He's an anti-vaxxer. Is he really an anti-vaxxer, or is he being an anti-vaxxer? And obviously, lots of lols with the immigration stuff. He's anti-immigration.
You say he's not extreme. He's pretty extreme on immigration.
Yeah.
He wants to basically deport all kids who are not born with people with the incorrect paperwork or something like that, and he wants to get rid of the automatic right of citizenship with birth.
Yeah.
So people who come into America to have a child, that child would then automatically become a citizen of America. He wants to get rid of that.
Nice.
So he's quite, and he wants to build a big wall. The Trump wall.
Yeah.
Which no one would get through.
Yeah, I mean, does he really want to build a wall? He's not an idiot. He's not stupid, is he? He's playing a very clever media game. It doesn't make any sense to build a wall that long.
Yeah.
High. I mean, it just doesn't compute. It doesn't make any sense.
That's what he does, is build things, isn't it?
I suppose. Yeah.
I wonder who he'd get to build it. he seems to be doing or appealing to that typically right-wing thing of finding scapegoats for
Somebody
all the problems.
Yeah, it's their fault that your life is like this. It's not your fault. It's their fault.
We are blameless. We have done nothing wrong. We're good, hard-working Americans, and the reason that your child can't go to college is because there are too many Mexicans coming in.
Yeah. Not because your child is useless. No.
The reason we've got crumbling infrastructure and rubbish roads is because we're buying all our stuff from China, and China are getting all our money. And the reason why your wages aren't high enough is because we're going away fighting all these wars, and they're not giving us any money back. They're not paying us for going to war in these countries. We should, it cost us 1.3 trillion to go to Iraq, and we haven't got anything back from it.
Do you really say that?
Yeah.
So what do you think Iraq should pay, or is it the business?
He says he's got a fairly old-fashioned view of war, in the sense that war is essentially conquest.
Yeah.
And that when you are the victors of in a war, you have the spoils of war. So when we go into Iraq, we should stay in Iraq, control the oil, get all the benefits from the oil, make sure we cover the costs of war, that the UK covers the costs of its war, and then also we'll make sure that the Iraqis do all right out of it. It's a very imperialistic sense of war, and it is actually quite a traditional.
It's true as well. Yeah. At least he's being honest about it. I mean, and so in that sense, he is being honest by the sounds of things.
He is refreshingly honest, actually, which is part of his appeal.
That's the question, isn't it? Is he honest?
Well, I think he is, because
or is this a calculated?
There was an interview where it said, "Well, will you?" Because there's some question over whether you be a Republican, stick with the Republican Party. He feels he's been rejected by the leadership of the Republican Party in the past. And now he's storming it. They're saying, well, are you going to stay? Wouldn't you be more comfortable running as an independent? Because not everything he says and believes chimes with the Republican Party.
But he's now he's signed a pledge of loyalty.
Yeah. But I mean, he said in an interview, he said, look, I'm a businessman. I'm not 100% decided yet, but I'm pretty sure, pretty soon I will come to a decision. But look, I'm a businessman. I like leverage. I like having leverage, which is refreshingly honest.
That is honest. That's good as well.
Basically saying, look, I've got the power here, and I want something out of it. If I'm going to commit to the Republican Party, they've got to commit to me on some other level.
Yeah. Rather than doing that behind the scenes and just having spurious, wishy-washy stuff.
Yeah.
Outside.
So there is some sort of similarity between what's happening over here in terms of JC.
Maybe.
In the sense that here is a candidate that has been consistent. I mean, he's gone on about the same things for years. I mean, there was a full-page ad in 1987, took out in a paper, banging on about how great America used to be, how we're exporting all our jobs, and basically the same things he's saying.
The good old days.
He's been saying,
they are the good old days now. That then he's moved them forward.
Yeah. So he's been remarkably consistent on message, and that, I think that gives people a jaded. Because don't forget, in this situation in the primaries. And in the sort of Labourship election, the discussion is shaped towards politically minded people who have an interest in politics.
Yeah, and they'll shy away more from the PR people.
Yeah, and I think there seems to be an almost global sense. I mean, there's a similar thing happening on the other side in the Democrat Party with Bernie Sanders, that it feels like there's a sense that people are starting to say, well, we've given you your chance. We've listened to your crap for 30 years now, and it's got us nowhere. We're fed up of politicians saying one thing when they're not in power,
doing something else,
i.e. Nick tuition fees. I mean, you look at the backlash that caused.
Yeah, destroyed the party, literally. Yeah.
Literally destroyed the party. Even if the message isn't quite what you believe, the fact that it is consistent over a long time, I think people are starting to find quite reassuring. And I think this is sort of aiding his popularity, and people like Jeb Bush, who is the establishment candidate, there's nothing they can do about that, because the perception of career politicians, and Jeb Bush will be considered a career politician, is that they're liars.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and in that sense, there is a parallel with Corbyn. I don't think it goes that far though, because Corbyn really is, as far as we can tell, just saying what he thinks. Whereas with Donald Trump is a reality TV character. Reality TV isn't real. They're all made up characters, and he's playing that character. By saying stupid things about immigrants are rapists and some of them are nice people. That's not just someone being an idiot. He's not just an idiot. That's a calculated sentence to whip up the most media activity, and it worked. And that was the spark which made it explode. And obviously they're going to love printing all this stuff.
I actually think there is a correlation in British politics, not in with JC, but as I alluded to at the beginning, with another blonde-haired conservative politician who is supposedly authentic, says what he thinks, and is generally quite humorous. It would be interesting to see if Donald Trump did become president and Boris Johnson was in the running for.
Yeah.
That would probably,
they are similar, aren't they? Yeah.
That would probably support Boris Johnson, who's looking a bit like an excluded figure at the moment.
Yes. Which is maybe in his favour, maybe deliberate. It's not quite clear. I mean, with UK politics at the moment, there is a game being played very clearly, a long-term game being played, and it isn't quite clear what it is on both sides. I do think there's a parallel with Nigel Farage in that he has this appearance of being the genuine guy. Hey, I'm the genuine guy. I drink beer, even though with Nigel Farage he doesn't really like beer at all. He drinks beer for the TV, and I think there's a bit of that with Donald Trump as well, in that he's not like ordinary working Americans at all. He's someone who's born into millions, and he's a 4 billionaire and all this stuff. And there was some funny stuff around the internet. There are people defending Donald Trump, so it isn't people are supporting him because he's on TV so much as there are people agreeing with what he's saying and want to vote for him and like him and all that stuff. But the amusing way people are arguing for him about, well, you're obviously part of the elite because you're arguing against him. And Donald Trump is the honest, innocent man in this who's telling the truth, and he's a 4 billionaire. That means that in America that means you're part of the elite. He goes to all these dodgy functions, I'm sure, and all that stuff. I found a really good. Well, it actually wasn't that good. There was a Bill Maher blog post. Do you like Bill Maher?
Bill Maher.
I find him a bit.
No, he tends to have good guests on his show.
Yeah,
and he's kind of funny.
I find he tends to be really shouty and extreme without really saying all that much. There's not much content in there, and I find that a bit irritating, really. But yeah, he actually said, build me a big wall is not a new idea. And one of the replies to that was that, well, he's obviously part of the immediate elite. Really? They've not thought it through. And Donald Trump was suing Bill Maher at one point. I think there might be more to this, but the gist of it I've got is that Bill Maher said, well, I'll give $5 million to charity if he can provide proof of his birth certificate showing that he's not the spawn of his mother having sex with an orangutan. That's actually been withdrawn because he would lose. Because it's comedy, obviously, not because But he was actually going to sue him for $5 million because he was he? Of course he wasn't. He was just drumming up the publicity, keep the publicity going.
I actually think I think Donald Trump believes a lot of what he says because his message is so consistent. Yeah. I mean, he was saying this in the Reagan years, which he says are the golden years. That's obviously a sop to the Republicans. All Republicans think the Reagan years, but actually,
when he was there, it wasn't the golden years.
The things that he's moaning about, i.e., the disintegration of the middle class, lack of good working jobs, that all started with Reagan. Yeah, that's a result of the neocon, all of that. Yeah. So I mean that there is a little bit of playing to the crowd, but ultimately he's a conspiracy theorist with an enormous ego. That's the problem, isn't it? He's a narcissist. If you're on reality TV, the thing about reality TV, obviously, is that it actually is very, very cheap drama. And the reason TV channels make it is because it's cheap. That's why they make it. And so they make it and people watch it. So it's popular because they make it, not because people want to watch it, And obviously, as time goes on, the people who will actually want, people who want to be on reality TV are now deeply people you wouldn't want to meet, surely, real narcissists. And if he is genuine, he said, I want that. And every time he said, well, I want that in his life, he's had it.
and he's intelligent enough to get whatever he wants. You know, and he's decided now, I want the presidency, or is he? You know, does he actually intend to win? Really?
I think so. I don't think this isn't the first time he's run, is it? It's the first time he's ever got any real traction. Which again, it just shows the almost sudden upswell of anti-establishment sentiment throughout the Western world, really.
Yeah, everywhere. Yeah, that's true. People are playing. Well, the establishment, the real establishment, are playing on that in different ways, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. It's very difficult to determine what's real and what's staged.
Yeah. So I mean, it's interesting times in America.
America.
Yeah, Donald Trump. The bubble was widely expected to burst quite quickly,
And it hasn't.
and everyone has got it wrong.
Yeah, and it's gone boom. Isn't it more that there's no one, much like Jeremy Corbyn, there just isn't anyone else. You know,
well,
all the other Republican nominees are pretty bland. Jeb Bush was the favourite.
It was almost seen as a done deal for Jeb, and a similar situation on the Democrat side.
Yeah.
Scott Walker is the other guy, and basically they're all pandering to Donald Trump now.
Mm. Plus there's too many of them. There's a whole load of them. There's about 10, which is too many. I think that's part of the problem. So if you're not this media image, a ridiculous character with a silly name, people aren't going to notice you.
No.
And that's part of it, isn't it?
Yeah. Are we ever going to do the Democrats? Because the Democrats are doing well as well, aren't they?
Yeah, let's do the Democrats next week. We'll do the Democrats next week.
Okay.
Might not be as fun as this one. Don't know.
Oh, I think it is actually.
There's obviously plenty of funny things to say.
I think the Democrat race is probably even more interesting than the Republican race.
Yeah, it has more content.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more finely balanced, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas it's looking like Donald Trump is sewn on at the moment.
Yeah.
It's not looking quite so clear cut in the Democrat race, and I think Joe Biden's sort of making his mind up of whether he's gonna make a challenge or not.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be really important.
Yeah.
The way things pan out.
Massively. So yeah, but I mean, regardless, that's just what the Illuminati have told us because we're in our ivory tower.
Yeah. Those aren't our opinions.
Yeah, that's just what we've been told to say because everything that you disagree with is actually just a conspiracy.
Yeah.
So there you go, and we'll be back next week, but we need to wait for another phone call from our left-wing lizard overlords. See you then.